I don't know, son. I don't know. You know best. But if I were you, I'd go for Lisa, Rosalind reasoned. What's in it for you with Julia? Think about it. She's a poor farm girl like you. Well, and you'll spend your life in poverty, and then you'll bite your elbows when you realize what a chance you missed. Max was at a complete loss. He didn't know what to do. He felt more guilt than before. Julia he had never felt before, anyone, and never, but he couldn't just give up Lisa. She was rich, fabulously rich. Such money, which was owned by a very young girl, Max, and all the inhabitants of their small resort town taken together, in a lifetime, to earn so much cannot earn so much. And Lisa fell in love for the first time in her life without memory-spoiled girl who changed young men like gloves and realized that Max is her destiny at first sight. He worked as a simple lifeguard on the beach, and she, as luck would have it, failed to control the boat and began to sink. Max saved her, pulled her out of the water, and he was sure that their acquaintance would be limited to that, but he was wrong. Lisa had caught his eye too, but he couldn't imagine any other girl beside him but Julia. They'd grown up together. Max's mother and the girl's aunt were friends at home and were sure that when the children grew up, they would marry. Julia was left an orphan early on. Her aunt was her only close person. Sometimes the girl even forgot that Valentina was not her mother but her aunt and called her mom, and the woman herself often had such a mishap. Valentina had no children of her own, and she always regarded Julia as her own daughter and treated her accordingly. She loved Max without a second thought. Julia had no one else to love. She was afraid to trust strangers, but she still knows him from early childhood. Their relationship began by itself. There was no other way, and Julia could not even imagine that someday in the life of Max will appear another girl, and even such a girl to whom she clearly cannot compete. In addition to the fabulous fortune inherited by Elizabeth from her father, she also had an extraordinary beauty. It was impossible not to fall in love with such a girl, and Max couldn't resist but to tell Julia about everything. The young man did not dare. She saw them herself on the embankment by chance and immediately realized everything. Of course, Max tried to explain everything to her, said it was not at all what she thought it was, but Julia, though she was able to forgive her lover, was still very much worried. No big deal, Aunt Valentina dismissed it. They were just going out. Maybe she asked him for directions, and he kindly showed her the way. Why do you take everything so personally? No, Aunt Valentina, Julia sighed. She didn't ask him for directions. Max told me everything. He and I explained ourselves. They'd known each other a long time, a few weeks now. She was drowning, he rescued her, some rich girl from out of town. I guess she wanted to diversify her horizons, tired of the Maldives, she came to our town. Stop it, Aunt Valentina, calmed her down. I'll talk to Rosalinda today. Let her talk to her son about his behavior. Julia didn't want to look like a tattletale in Max's eyes. She was afraid that he would resent her if he found out that his aunt had told Rosalind. After all, they were adults and they shouldn't involve their parents in their squabbles. But Valentina still couldn't calm down, and even though her niece strictly forbade her to discuss what had happened with Rosalinda, her aunt still told her friend. At first, the woman was outraged, but when she talked to her son and Max told her about the girl with whom he had been walking on the quay, Rosalinda changed her attitude to what had happened. She had always wished for the best for her son, but unfortunately, the woman did not have the opportunity to provide Max with a decent future. She had no money to pay for the institute, therefore, when the young man failed exams in the capital, went to serve in the army, and after returning got a job as a lifeguard on the beach. Such a fate, to tell the truth, Rosalind felt insanely guilty in front of her son. In their town, such salaries, what is there, an institute, to feed a child and to reach adulthood, even those women who live with their husbands can't afford anything. She's been raising her son alone since he was born. She needed money for one thing, then another, then a third, fifth, 10th, what kind of savings? Max didn't complain about life. He never particularly aspired to anything. All these metropolitan universities and opportunities were not important to the young man. He was quite satisfied with a quiet, peaceful life in his native small, cozy town, and he was not going to trade it for the pursuit of achievements. His mother did not share his point of view. She herself had lived very modestly all her life for the sake of her son and his relative well-being. The woman had to deny herself literally everything for Max. Rosalinda wanted a better life. Therefore, when the young man met on his way Lisa, the woman hinted to him that it would be necessary to think about it. "Mom, what is there to think about?" He was surprised. "We're just friends with her, we communicate, and nothing more. She'll stay here for a month or two, and then she'll go back to her capital. She needs me. She has a carload and a cartload of men like me, and every one of them wants to drag her to the registry office in order to secure his safety and to spend her late father's money without hindrance." Rosalind heard in her son's words a note of regret and realized that Max still fell in love with a rich girl, although he tried his best to hide it. Lisa, on the other hand, had fallen so in love that when she was near him, her legs shook. The girl was not going to retreat. She was determined to marry Max, and she would spare no money, no effort, no time. "When do you plan to return home?" asked the girl's mother when she called to see how Lisa was doing. "Said you're going away for a couple weeks just out of interest to see our local resorts, and then we'll fly abroad as usual, and you're still gone, and you don't call." My father divorced Lisa's mother while she was still alive. It so happened that after spending many years together, the spouses realized that they are completely different people. The man paid his ex-wife a decent allowance. All the same, at one time, she gave up her career and made a choice in favor of family, raised a daughter. He was grateful to her, and after the death of his father, the responsibilities for the maintenance of his mother took on Lisa, who inherited his entire fortune under the will. The daughter did not refuse her anything. She and her mother have always been like girlfriends, together traveled to resorts, went shopping, and shared the most intimate secrets with each other. So this time Lisa could not help but tell her mother about what happened. "Oh, Mom," sighed Lisa, who realized with horror that indeed, she completely forgot to inform her that she would not return as promised. "There's no way I can come right now. I'm sorry. Why don't you fly alone, and I'll come back later? Okay? Don't take offense to me, please." Alice immediately suspected something was wrong. "Daughter, do you remember?" she said. "I can feel it. Come on, tell me what you've got. You know you can't keep anything from me." And that was the truth. Even from a distance, Alice could sense that something was wrong. "Yes," mumbled Lisa. "I really have something happened here, but it's not a phone conversation. Let's, as soon as I get back, immediately tell you everything, okay? I'm flying back to you today," the woman said uncompromisingly and hung up. Just what I need, thought Lisa, who was completely unprepared to talk to her mother. Of course, Alice's indignation had no limit. As soon as the woman heard that her daughter fell in love with a local beggar, she almost lost the power of speech. "Maybe you're wrong," she asked, knowing full well how fickle Lisa in the choice of life partners. "You've fallen in love so many times, and each time it seemed to you that it is forever and no one but him you do not need, and then you dated for a while, and then you drifted apart. Maybe it's the same story with Max." Alice just couldn't believe that Lisa could fall in love with a man with whom they were clearly from different worlds. It didn't fit in the woman's head. Naturally, she didn't want this marriage, which was not surprising at all. Lisa is the owner of a huge fortune, and he's a pauper. Who knows who he is? What if he robbed her of everything and abandoned her? No, Alice could not allow this, so in every possible way tried to convince her daughter that she does not need this young man. "Let's go abroad as planned," she persuaded Lisa. "There you will meet someone, and many times better than your Max, I'm sure of it, daughter. Why do you need him, and you're going to get married? You've never even mentioned it. You've been proposed to many times by various very worthy young men, but you've turned them down every time. What happened all of a sudden? What makes you think this lifeguard is a worthy match for you?" But Lisa got it into her head that she loves Max, really not like her former young men, and if he wouldn't be with her, she just wouldn't survive it. There was no one better than Max for her in the world, and the girl was ready for absolutely everything just to marry him. At first, Max did not give Lisa a reason to believe that her feelings are mutual. After all, he had confessed his love to Julia. They were planning to get married. Max felt a responsibility towards this girl, but gradually their so-called friendship with Lisa became closer and closer, and Rosalind's admonitions played not the least role. The woman was clearly pressuring Max, trying her best to influence the situation. Perhaps if she had not interfered, Max would have been able to suppress his sympathy for Lisa. The young man really didn't want to betray Julia. It would be too much. He realized that if he cheated on her for real, the girl would never forgive him. But still, he couldn't help himself. Lisa was so actively perching on him that it was impossible to resist her. For several months, Max hid their relationship, but it couldn't go on like this, and it was obvious to both him and the girl herself. "I'm leaving soon," in between Lisa said when Max once again visited her. Rosalind supported her son and very much did not want a scandal. Therefore, it was favorable for her to reveal the truth as late as possible. The woman covered for her son in front of Julia and Valentina as best she could, citing ill health, lying that she had sent her son here and there when Julia dropped by without a call or invitation, asking where Max was. But it couldn't go on indefinitely. Lisa wanted certainty, so she lied about leaving soon. In fact, the girl had as much time as she wished, and there was no need for an urgent return from the capital. But she wanted to get specifics from Max. Would he go with her and they would marry, or would he stay here with his provincial Julia? The young man, who by his own fault found himself between two fires, could not make up his mind. "You think," insisted Lisa, "I will not offer twice, especially you know what I have recently difficult relations with my mother. She's adamantly opposed to you and me dating. She won't even hear about getting married. Since my dad died, my mom's the only person I've been close to. I did this for you," direct confrontation with her. "If I didn't love you so much, it would be unthinkable." Max was sick of this double life himself. He was tired of lying to Julia, and the fact that he was deceiving himself too did not give the young man joy. It was not only money that attracted him to Lisa, and to be more precise, it wasn't money at all. When Max pulled her out of the water, he did not know that the girl was fabulously rich, but already at that moment, he realized that Lisa is very sympathetic to him. It was as if she was from another world, not like everyone else, and it was not that she is a capital rich thing, it was something else, a subtle something only a man truly in love, which Max could understand. That he only realized it when Lisa announced that she was leaving soon. Max suddenly realized that he might never see her again, lose her forever. From these thoughts, his heart clenched painfully in his chest. The young man was unbearable to think that Lisa could once and for all disappear from his life. After saying goodbye to her, he went home to announce his decision to his mother. Rosalind knew where her son had gone, so she waited impatiently for him to once again bring up a topic that she was extremely concerned about. Every time Max returned from Lisa's, his mother started her usual rant about their relationship and future. For a long time, the young man had already managed to learn this song by heart. It was so familiar to him that he knew exactly what his mother would say to him when he had barely had time to sit down at the dinner table for a cup of tea and some refreshment. And this time, he heard the same thing from Rosalind, all the same questioning about when he would finally make up his mind and choose between Lisa and Julia, and that this choice must necessarily be in Lisa's favor. After all, this is his chance for a completely different life, which fell to Max completely by accident, and there might not be another one. Max had heard all this many times before. Rosalind did not come up with anything new, and Max could not wait to tell his mother about his decision to close this issue once and for all. "Jesus, son," the woman exclaimed after listening to Max, "well, has it finally happened? Are you really getting married? And when will the wedding be? Here at our place or in the capital? Oh, I'm so happy for you, Max, you have no idea. When you marry Elizabeth, you're going to have the time of your life. You deserve it, believe me." After Max had made up his mind, he felt much better, but he couldn't find the right words to explain everything. Rosalind advised her son to leave in silence without explaining himself to the girl. "Why do you want to do that?" she asked. "Why all these scandals and clarifications of relations? You decided to leave with Lisa, so leave, and then I'll explain everything to Valentina myself." Somehow. But the young man couldn't do that. His conscience wouldn't allow it. He agreed to meet with his former lover on neutral territory so that neither her nor his mother could interfere in their conversation. Julia did not expect such a blow. Of course, the girl had a bad feeling in her heart from time to time. She suspected that Max was not telling her something. But Julia had never imagined it would go this far. "You're going to her because she's rich, aren't you?" she asked through tears when Max stammered and told her about his relationship with Lisa. "I felt it for a reason." "Oh, not for nothing. I knew right then that you were attracted to her. Of course, in addition to money, she's also beautiful." "What are you going to do with me, an ugly beggar?" "Don't say that, please," Max exclaimed. "You're a very pretty girl, and I'm fine with you. But understand me too, I have fallen in love with her, and I have loved her sincerely. It's a completely different feeling from the one I had for you. It's like nothing else." "Tell me, what did you miss?" Julia asked. "What was it? What's wrong with me? Why did you so easily follow the first skirt and ruin our relationship?" Max didn't know what to say. Just at a certain point, he realized that he treated Julia as a friend, a good, very close friend. She was an integral part of his life and would forever be. They grew up together, had their first experience of love together. There is so much that binds them together, and always will. But this isn't love, it's something else entirely, and Max couldn't lie anymore. The young man was corrupted by what was happening in his life. He loves one, hides his feelings from the other, and with each passing day, this whole situation only spiraled more, a little more, and it will finally come to a dead end. It would be impossible to find a way out. It was important for him to cut this knot, to break this vicious circle in which both he and Julia found themselves. And however painful it might be, he had done it. Now, the young man could leave with peace of mind, with Lisa, and prepare for the wedding. After learning about what had happened between Julia and Max, Valentina was furious. "How could he do that to you?" she was outraged. And Rosalind was good too. It turns out that she was lying to me, looking me in the eye all this time. But it wasn't yesterday that her precious son got together with that rich girl from the capital. They've been seeing each other for months. If they're getting married, what a good friend, I'll give her a good time. Julia begged her aunt not to make scandals and quarrels. She was in unbearable pain as it was, and if she began to grind at all, there would be no life at all. "Aunt, I beg you, please," Julia begged. "Don't you touch either Max or Rosalind. Let it be on their consciences, they have to live with it. I want to forget all this as soon as possible. He betrayed me, and I don't want to see or hear from him anymore. I don't want to know anything about him either." Valentina felt terribly sorry for her niece, but she could not help talking to Rosalind. After all, they had been friends for so many years, and the woman had treated her and Julia so meanly, and they had trusted her. But Rosalind would not even listen to Valentina. "If you've come to lecture me and my son, you'd better leave at once," she said right from the doorstep. "I'm not going to listen to your moralizing. Julia is young, she'll find herself 100 suitors. Girls are always in demand, boys have a much harder time of it. If my Max could find someone with no money problems, it would only be some old 50-year-old purse. I don't want that for my son. This girl, God sent him, let them get married, and my boy can live a normal life. He'll never have that opportunity again." After these words, Valentina realized that they had nothing more to talk about. The woman was shocked at the snake she had been feeding on her neck for so many years. She had never realized how selfish and greedy Rosalind was. Valentina had never noticed anything like that about her before, but as it turned out, the woman was just very good at hiding her inner self. And now, when there was such a good occasion, it came out at once. She returned home in a foul mood. Julia knew without her mother's explanation what had happened between her and Rosalind, so she did not even ask her aunt what had happened between them. The girl did not want her aunt to go to her to find out, but Valentina did it her way, and as it turned out, so it turned out. Rosalind, on the other hand, was truly indignant that her friend even dared to try to read her morals. When her son came home, she told him all about it, but he didn't share his mother's opinion. "What did you want?" he asked in surprise. "That she should still be friends with you? Julia is like a daughter to her. She raised her from the time she was a baby, and I betrayed her. Let's call things by their proper names. What I did was a betrayal in its own right, and Valentina's reaction was predictable. Rosalind wanted her son to leave as soon as possible. The woman did nothing but hurry him along. Lisa, who was over the moon when Max decided to propose to her, also did not want to linger in a foreign city. All the girl's thoughts were occupied with wedding troubles. She was already leafing through catalogs, picking out the outfits she liked. Alice watched everything that was happening with bewilderment, but did not dare to say anything to her daughter. The woman has long since realized that it is useless and hoped only that Lisa will cool down and come to her senses. But the girl was not going to give up her happiness, even though her mother was still strongly opposed to her marriage to Max and insisted that Lisa cancel the wedding. But not for this. Your father all his life capitalized so that you spend on the maintenance of some philanderer, the woman lamented. I am sure that he, as well as I, would be categorically against your marriage. He must be turning over in his coffin. Mother, stop your nagging. I love this man and I want to be married to him. I have the right to do so. I can't help it if I've never been attracted to a so-called equal. I'd love her, marry her, and that's it, we're done. Max marveled at the beauty of the big city. Even in his sweetest dreams, he couldn't imagine that he would ever live here. Upon arrival, Lisa was busy not only preparing for the wedding but also selecting a separate apartment for her and Max. The girl realized that they would not live under the same roof with her mother. Alice had long lived separately from her daughter. Immediately after the divorce, the woman moved into the apartment that her husband bought for her. Her father's house was too big for two people after the death of his father. It stood idle. Lisa's hand did not rise to sell it. After all, she had spent most of her life in it. But the girl didn't want to live there alone, and her apartment was too bachelor for a family. This was all new to Max. It was the first time he'd ever met people who could so easily spend money on whatever they wanted. Lisa didn't count them at all. As soon as they chose suitable housing, the girl easily concluded the deal and paid for the purchase in cash. The young man could not imagine that such a thing was possible in real life. Something like this he had only seen in the movies. People from his past surroundings save up for the only small housing throughout their lives and even get into huge loans. All their dreams are reduced to the worldly things, their own, albeit tiny, roof over their heads, small savings for a rainy day, the availability of food in the refrigerator so that the children would be fed and clothed. Only when Max found himself in this completely different world, he realized how shallow and trivial the life of poor people. He had never thought about it before, and in general, he thought that he and his mother lived not so badly. Now he realized the poverty from which he had emerged. All his past life suddenly seemed to him so boring, uninteresting that he did not understand how he could not notice it for so many years and did not dream of something really significant. Lisa had opened up a whole other world to him, and he didn't regret leaving. Rosalind was right. What would have awaited him with Julia? A boring, gray day working 9 to 6, counting every dime he spent, living side by side with his parents under the same roof or a roof of your own bought solely by the miraculous opportunity to get a mortgage. With a life like that, love would fade very quickly, quarrels would begin, squabbles, family squabbles, finding out who spent how much for a month, why nothing put aside, and when would they finally start saving for their old age. All these thoughts made Max shudder. His mother had never shared with him how hard it was for her to carve out every dime to provide for her son's necessities. Fortunately, Max's children would have a very different fate, and he himself was finally starting to live a decent life. The wedding went splendidly. Neither Rosalind nor Max had ever been to such a celebration in their lives. Everything was so beautiful, luxurious, and expensive that mother and son were literally breathtaking. One suit which Lisa ordered especially for her beloved groom cost more than Rosalind earned in 6 months. How happy she was that her son had made the right choice. It was impossible to describe in words. Max did not even remember about Julia. The young man was anticipating a magical wedding trip in which they were about to fly away with Elizabeth, and the girl herself tried to chase away from herself the thoughts of Max. He betrayed her, and she had to cut him out of her life once and for all to find the strength and survive everything that had happened. But it hadn't been that easy. After the news that fell on Julia like snow on her head, the girl realized that the young man will never leave her life. Now they were bound once and for all, and not by some invisible thread that exists only in her imagination, but by the very real consequences of their relationship. Julia hadn't expected it to turn out this way. When she first felt very dizzy and sick, the girl did not even think about the fact that she was pregnant. "Go to the doctor at last," insisted her aunt, who was very much concerned about the condition of her niece. "It's not the first time you fainted. We need to find out what's wrong. Maybe it's something serious. Why are you so worried?" Julia waved away, who had absolutely no desire to waste time sitting in lines at the clinic. "It's hot outside, overheated blood pressure spiked, so she collapsed. It's nothing to worry about." But her aunt insisted that Julia go to the doctor. "If you don't go yourself, I'll take you by the hand," Valentina threatened. "What the hell is this? You're acting like a little girl." Such an onslaught was impossible to resist. In the end, Julia decided to go to the clinic, just to make sure that everything was all right and to reassure her aunt. "But it can't be," Julia mumbled, when the doctor told her that she was expecting a baby. The girl was simply shocked. But her surprise caused the doctor only sincere bewilderment. "You are like a little girl," thoughtfully said the doctor, who did not know that it makes babies. "Were you just born yesterday?" Julia did not like this boorish treatment. She was very offended that the doctor reacted so disdainfully to her feelings. But the girl did not become rude in response. Thanking the doctor politely, saying goodbye, she left the hospital and headed towards home. "How did you go to the clinic?" asked Valentina. "Is everything all right?" Seeing that her niece was upset, the woman immediately realized that something had happened. She had never seen Julia so depressed in her life. Valentina immediately pounced on her with questions. She decided not to hesitate. She would find out anyway. How could she hide something like that? She'd better tell her that she was having a baby with that bastard Max. "Yes," Valentina muttered, as shocked by the news as she was by her niece. "What will happen now? What to do?" "Nothing," Julia exclaimed, wiping away the tears that continued to roll involuntarily from her eyes. "I will not give birth to this child. Why should I have it? To work 2 jobs all my life like you, to feed him while Max is out there having fun with his rich wife. And I don't need to be reminded of him like that. I'm young, I have my whole life ahead of me, and I can do with it as I see fit, and this child will only get in my way, so I'm going to get rid of it. I've already made up my mind." "What are you talking about?" Aunt Valentina, who had not expected her niece to say such things, was indignant. She had always thought Julia a quiet person, and now this. Of course, the woman did not want Julia to terminate the pregnancy. Who knows how it would turn out later? What if something goes wrong, and after that, her niece will never be able to become a mother again? That would be a real tragedy for a woman. Valentina was sure that in the future, Julia's mental wounds would heal, and she would meet another worthy man whom she would love and want to have children with. No, the woman could not allow Julia to make such a serious mistake, which could become fatal and put a cross on all her future life. She had to dissuade Julia from taking a desperate step at all costs. Julia, listen to me, please, Aunt Valentina said, trying to find the right words to explain to her niece that her future baby and her relationship with Max should not be conflated in her mind. You mustn't take your attitude towards that bastard out on the baby. It's not the baby's fault, and he deserves to be born. Just trust me and do as I ask. If you don't want to raise him, I will. I won't abandon him, and I'll help you any way I can. Just don't make a mistake, I'm begging you. You'll regret it later, and you'll never get it back. Aunt Valentina, what are you talking about? Julia exclaimed indignantly. You brought me up and worked like hell to feed me, to make me, to clothe me, and you want to put one more weight around your neck? Or do I need to remind you that you're not as young as you were when Mom died and you took me into your care? What do you want? To doom yourself to be gone for the rest of your life? Valentina did not share her niece's thoughts. The woman was sure that Julia was speaking out of resentment. She wanted to hope that the girl would come to her senses and keep the child. After all, the doctor had convinced her that it was very dangerous to terminate the pregnancy. Julia was torn apart by contradictions. On the one hand, she did not want to give birth to this baby because she was convinced that it would ruin her and her aunt's life. A baby is not a toy, it needs to be fed, brought up. She's still so young, and there's no normal job, no money either to hang on the neck of her aunt who brought her up as her own daughter, did not leave her in trouble. Such a clamp the girl absolutely did not want. But on the other hand, if she really never could have children again and then she met the one she would love and wanted to become a mother, what then? Julia didn't know what to do. She was under pressure from both the doctor and her aunt, and it was literally tearing her apart. There wasn't much time left. The girl realized that she had to make a decision. Wandering through the park, she was so absorbed in her heavy thoughts that she did not hear the elderly gypsy woman calling her. Wait a minute, girl, said the woman, beckoning Julia toward her with her finger. Come closer, don't be afraid, I won't take up much of your time, that's all I need. Julia, who had been afraid of gypsies since she was a child, thought with annoyance. She remembered the times when they filled the local market and chased passers-by in droves, begging for money and jewelry. Aunt Valentina, too, always tried to avoid them. The woman was convinced that nothing good could be expected from them, but she always gave Julia strict orders to run away from them. Run, but if they catch up with you and pull you back, be polite to them, don't be rude. If they curse you, you'll be damned, you'll spend your whole life in a swamp. They're not good people, and they have a bad eye, so it's better not to quarrel with them. At that moment, the girl remembered her aunt's words, and that was the only reason why she did not dare to send the old gypsy woman away. Fortunately, Julia had no valuables or money with her, she had just gone out for a walk. So the girl hoped that when the gypsy realized that she had nothing to take from her, she would leave her alone with her predictions. But the gypsy didn't want the girl's money and jewelry, she really wanted to tell her something very important. Important, and she saw everything, as if she saw it with her own eyes, and there was not an ounce of deceit in her words. You sit down, she said, as Julia approached the bench near where the mysterious, strange woman stood. As they say, there is no truth in feet, and listen to me, Julia. As if mesmerized, Julia lowered herself onto the bench. The woman sat down next to her and, taking the girl by the hand, continued, I see that the child you carry under your heart, you want to throw off. So I'll tell you something, if you do that, you'll never be able to atone for your sin, and you won't be able to forgive yourself for it either. Day and night, in your dreams and in your dreams, you'll see your unborn baby. You want to kill him because you just do not know and cannot even imagine what is ahead of you. Your rival got your lover away from you, took him right out from under your nose, and that deep soul wound has been bothering you. But in time, believe me, it will heal. There won't even be a trace of it left. You'll find your love, but she'll destroy hers. That's her destiny. Your rival won't be happy with him, he won't be happy with anyone. Evil fate, the clouds are already gathering over them, and soon, very soon, the hour of reckoning will come for the fact that he gave up his destiny for the sake of propriety. He doesn't love her, he just talked himself into it, convinced himself that he loved her, but in reality, your lover is too soft. You need a different kind of man, hard, strong-willed, reliable, and responsible. And you'll meet him again, but know only one thing, you won't be happy if you throw away the baby, my dear. Make sure you have the baby, he's very necessary, but not for you, for your rival. It will be the meaning of life, and you'll give her that meaning when she's on her knees begging you in despair. You'll remember my words when it happens. And now, goodbye. I must go. Julia looked away for a moment, and when she turned back to the gypsy to ask why she should believe her, the woman was gone. It was as if she had fallen through the earth. The girl even thought she had dreamed the whole thing. But when Julia saw the colored handkerchief on the bench, she realized that no, it was not a hallucination. A few seconds ago, the woman had been there, and then it was as if she had vanished. With difficulty getting to her feet, the girl wandered home. She'd gone for a walk, that was enough for today. On the way, she pondered whether she should tell her aunt about what had happened. She decided she wouldn't. Julia really didn't want to upset her aunt. She knew how she felt about gypsies, and she realized that if she told her aunt, Valentina would not be able to sleep well at night. The girl was sure that she would forget about this ridiculous meeting the very next day. But she was wrong. The gypsy woman's words did not leave Julia's mind. She tried to understand what she meant by the child. How could he be the meaning of life for Lisa? What kind of nonsense is this? The girl asked herself and found no answer. But no matter how she felt about gypsies, the prediction had sunk into her soul. Suddenly, Julia decided to keep her baby alive. A few days after meeting with the mysterious stranger, the girl dreamed of a little boy. She held him in her arms, from which he suddenly jumped and, waving to Julia, dissolved into a white haze. The girl did not understand what the dream meant. After all, if she decided to keep the baby alive, he should not leave this world. Waking up, Julia thought for a long time and tried to find an answer to explain to herself the essence of this dream, but she could not do it. But that was not the only mystery she had to solve. It took Julia a long time to get the answers to her questions. She just had to wait. Life took its course, and gradually, everything was falling into place. Everything has its time, and one should not try to run ahead of the locomotive. Most of all, Julia was afraid of the explanations with Rosalind, which would not have been avoided if the woman had not left town. Valentina didn't share her niece's fears and had once speculated about how Max's mother would react to the news about her grandson. She only grinned. "Don't worry about it," she reassured Julia. "She'll see her sooner or later anyway. But there's no telling who could have knocked you up. It's not all for her son to be a hero lover." "Auntie, who are we kidding?" Julia grinned sadly. "And you and I and she know perfectly well that I had no other men but Max and could not be." "Maybe you cheated on him too," Valentina grinned with a squint. "He's a stroller, and you've been keeping up with him. That's the belly and brought it into the house, and your beau ran away. Or not run away but live somewhere abroad and sends you money from another country. Have you found a millionaire too? Why not? You should be joking." Julia sighed, who was ready even to persuade her mother to move to another city. Rosalind and Max would never know about the baby. But fortunately, to go to such extreme measures did not have to. Not even a month after her son's wedding, Rosalind packed a suitcase and went to Max. Couldn't live a day without her precious little boy, and she rented the house out to some married couple. Why should it sit idle? No, just think about it. Valentina was indignant when she heard about the departure of her former best friend, and she didn't even come to say goodbye, didn't warn her. But no, so why should she say goodbye to us? Julia grinned sadly. They don't want to get to know us anymore, and Rosalind must have asked her to stay with them, and they didn't refuse. She'll keep order there instead of the servants, why not? How can you say that, Val? Valentina rebuked her niece. No, of course, I understand that you're angry. I'm angry too. But not that angry. I'm angry. The girl was surprised. Are you? No, you're imagining it. Angry about what? I hate Max. What about his mom? To be honest, I don't really care for her, Valentina admitted. Although, if you think about it, she's the one who raised Max the way she did. These ideas of a rich, lavish life were always lurking in their heads, and as soon as a good opportunity came along, they jumped right into it and realized what they dream of. How can you be mad at them for that? They did what they thought was right. Except that I don't have to speak kindly of them or treat them well anymore. No one's asking you to do that, said her aunt, who sincerely did not understand why Julia was so angry. Valentina tried to do her best to calm her niece down. Julia shouldn't be nervous, she didn't feel well, which was not surprising. Thinking about Max and being angry all the time would do no good. The months dragged on like years. Julia didn't know what to do with herself. She couldn't work because she felt sick all the time and could faint at any moment. She had no love and tenderness for the future baby. She didn't understand why she had left this baby. How she and Aunt Valentina would raise it, and on what? On her aunt's salary? It was funny and sad at the same time. Julia laughed at herself. You'd have to be such a fool from time to time, she thought to herself, regretting that she had given in to all the pressure and left the baby. The girl cringed when at the next appointment with the doctor she heard, "Congratulations, Mommy, the baby is developing normally. He is perfectly fine. Look how cute he is." The doctor handed Julia the ultrasound image. But she did not want to see the baby or know about it. The girl realized that as soon as he was born, her life would change once and for all. She would be finished. Her best years she will spend on diapers and Raspanki next to a child from a man who betrayed her. In the meantime, he would have fun and enjoy life. The thought made Julia shudder. Suddenly, she realized that she had become a cynic too. Why on earth should she think any differently? Max had gone off with a rich, beautiful girl, married her, and now lived for his own pleasure. And she's supposed to support the baby on her own? Oh no, that's not going to work. Julia, I don't understand you, Valentina sighed when her niece told her that in the long run, it would be good to collect child support from Max. You didn't want him and Rosalind to know about the baby, and now you want them to not only know about it, but also recognize it and Max to support it. I don't understand you. I just thought it was kind of unfair, Julia said. We have no normal work in the city. You are no longer a youth, and I'm not likely to be hired anywhere with this. So what do you get? I'm going to sit on your neck. I'll ruin my life because when this one turns 3 and goes to kindergarten, I'll have to accept any job to feed him. Max will enjoy life. But why should we? Why do we have to carry everything on our backs? In fact, Julia was not only interested in money but in the fact that the child is a great opportunity to upset Max's relationship with Lisa. Would this rich, spoiled princess like the fact that her beloved husband would be tied to his former lover for the rest of his life and that she would not be the one to give birth to his firstborn? Such a thing could be a serious blow to her self-esteem, and quite possibly Lisa would not accept it and would break up with Max. But these thoughts were so stupid that Julia, and herself after a while, realized it and decided to leave everything as it was. And she didn't need Max after what he'd done. Even if the young man ended the relationship with Lisa, where is the guarantee that he wouldn't run away again for another rich, visiting skirt? No, Julia wouldn't want a man like that. And with her mind, she knew it. But in her heart, she couldn't accept the fact that she and Max would never be together, even though she hated him. But deep down, she still loved him and thought about him. She had never experienced such contradictory and strong feelings in her life, which at one moment turned upside down. Not so long ago, Julia had been a naive, trusting girl, sure that she had a beloved man whom she would marry and be the happiest in the world. But now she was carrying a child under her heart from a scoundrel and a traitor who, in an instant, without thinking at all, traded their feelings for money. Julia did not believe in Max's love for Lisa. She was convinced that it is impossible to fall in love so quickly with a person whom you barely know, and Lisa was no stranger to it. Julia had hoped that her mother would oppose their marriage and Lisa would have no choice but to give up. But as it turned out, Alice's opinion was not at all important to the young rich woman. Lisa was happy and could not even imagine how this happiness would be fleeting. Everything in life happens and happens. That's what happened to them. 2 months before the expected date of childbirth, Julia was put on conservation. It's not getting any easier by the hour. The girl was indignant when the doctor informed her that it was necessary. I already stay at home and hardly go out. Why should I go to the hospital? Here you will be under the supervision of doctors, the doctor replied. Believe me, it will be better. Better for who? Julia, who could not wait to be free of this burden, was thinking in her mind. Pregnancy was a burden to her. She didn't want this child. And no matter how much she convinced herself that she should love him, she couldn't do it. But it was too late to change anything. It was only a matter of time before she gave birth. And Julia knew she had to be patient. And then the thought suddenly occurred to her that after the baby was born, she could convince her aunt that it would be better if they left him at the hospital. Of course, at first Valentina would take her niece's suggestion to heart. Julia realized that. But she hoped that common sense would prevail and that the woman would accept the fact that she was unable to put the baby on her feet and that he would be a burden to them. Don't be upset, my dear, my aunt reassured her niece when she visited her in the hospital. You and I have already bought a stroller. You're the one who's in a bad mood. You're blaming your baby because you don't feel well and you have to lie here. And once it's born, you'll hold it in your arms, feed it, you'll love it. Where did she get this ridiculous confidence that I'll love him as soon as he's born? Julia thought, annoyed by her aunt's words. But she didn't dare admit it. After all, Aunt Valentina was the only person close to her, and Julia realized that she would be hurt to hear reproaches or insults against her. On her way back from her niece's house, Valentina bumped into Rosalind. At first, she didn't even recognize her. The woman looked lost. It seemed to Valentina that she didn't even see where she was going. When she came closer and called out to her former best friend, she didn't react in any way and followed her until she reached her house. Wow, the woman said to herself. She could have at least said hello. Valentina had neither time nor desire to ponder the ignorance of Rosalind, who was now just a neighbor to her. Her mouth was full of her own worries. Julia was already in labor, about to give birth, and they didn't even have a nursery ready. As soon as she got home, Valentina began to do the chores. She wanted to still have time to run to the stores and buy the baby things, diapers, diaper covers, and everything necessary. What if Julia gave birth before the due date, and they had nothing to wear for the discharge? The woman was distracted by a sudden knock on the door. The bell had been broken a long time ago. Valentina had never been able to call a master to fix it. And to tell the truth, there was no time for that. So, the woman did not attach any importance to the absence of the doorbell. Why would she need one if no one came to visit her and Julia? And before, if anyone had dropped by, it had been Max and Rosalind. She was standing on the doorstep, just like old times. Seeing Rosalind at the door, Valentina was very much surprised, astonishing impudence after everything that had happened between their families. Valentina couldn't feel any differently about the woman's visit. What do you want? She asked without even saying hello. No salt, no cigar. I don't understand why you're here. Get out of here. I really need to talk to you, sighed the woman. It won't take long. But I'm asking you very much, listen to me, please. Why should I listen to you? Valentina was surprised, who was already boiling over and was about to spew her venom at the guest. What are you doing here? Did you get tired of the capital life and decide to return to your native countryside, and the house is occupied by tenants and there is no place to sleep? Or did a rich family knock you and your demonstrative son over? What's that got to do with me? I didn't drop everything and rush off to another town for the clinking of coins. Rosalind didn't know what to say, and only after a few minutes, while they stood silently in the doorway, Valentina noticed that the woman was dressed in black, and tears were streaming down her cheeks. "So, will you listen, or will you send her away?" she asked, breaking the silence that had appeared between them. Valentina had no pity for Rosalind, but she could not drive her away. The woman looked so pathetic, so helpless that it was obvious that something really terrible had happened. Otherwise, she wouldn't have come. Why remember old friends who are no longer your equals when life is rich and prosperous? It's not worth it. What could they possibly have in common? "All right, come on in," Valentina muttered through her teeth, thinking at that moment that it was good that they had not yet had time to buy children's things. She didn't need to see that, nor did she need to know that Julia was about to have a baby. Valentina was sure that Rosalind had come for a few days and was about to go back. She had not yet known why the woman had come to her and what tragic news she had brought with her. Nor had she noticed in her daily routine that her neighbor's house was empty and that the tenants had moved out. Rosalind could not find the right words to tell her old friend what she was going through. The woman was in a state of deep shock. She had lost the most precious thing in her life, her beloved only son. And no one will never give him back to her and will never replace him. Rosalind will never be able to get over such a terrible grief, no matter how many years pass. Now, this deep heartache is with her forever. And the only thing left for the woman to do was to accept it, which at that moment seemed to her quite impossible. Valentina could not believe what she had heard. She couldn't believe that Max was no longer alive. Yes, he had betrayed her niece, acted like the ultimate scumbag, but death? She had never wished Max anything bad and could understand what Rosalind was feeling right now. "It's horrible," she sighed as she listened to the woman. "I can't think how this is possible. I told him not to ride that stupid motorcycle," the woman lamented. "But he and Lisa are young, frisky. They can't handle anything. During the honeymoon, I could not find a place when they sent photos as jumping from a great height on a cable into the icy water, riding scooters that when they returned, and Lisa gave him this damn motorcycle. Turns out, he'd always wanted one. I can't imagine how I'm going to go on living, or why I should live at all." Valentina tried her best to calm the woman down. She persuaded Rosalind, in every possible way, to drive away bad thoughts from her mind. She did not ask about Lisa, though she knew that it was not easy for her either. After all, she had beaten a young man away from her niece and married him, which had caused Julia unbearable heartache. Valentina could not forget about it so easily, even in spite of Max's tragic death. "I know Julia is expecting a baby," Rosalind whispered through her tears as she finished wailing. "Tell me, is it Max's son or daughter? It's very important for me to know. Understand me, Valentina. I have no one left. This baby, if it's Max's, is the meaning of my life. This baby is the only thing I have left to live for." Rosalind's question put Valentina in a stupor. She did not understand how the woman could have known about the baby when she had gone to see her son and his wife. Julia's belly had not yet been visible. And now that Rosalind had returned, there was no way she could have run into Julia, since the girl was in the hospital. As if reading her friend's mind, the woman immediately answered the question that had been on Valentina's mind, but she hadn't dared to ask. "My tenants have told me that your niece goes on vacation," Rosalind said. "We called them from time to time. They told me what was going on in the house. They tell me about the neighbors too. That's how I found out your Julia was having a baby. I thought Julia had met her match, but it was just too quick, wasn't it? And we haven't seen a man around her, so it's Max's baby." "Even if it is, what does it matter now?" asked Valentina, who did not want to break her niece's word. She had promised not to tell either Rosalind or Max that Julia was expecting a child, and the woman had found out only clearly it had happened not yesterday or a week ago, but a long time ago. And if Max was alive now, the caring grandmother would hardly remember about her grandson. And so, of course, when all alone left and about old friends and about the girl abandoned by her son at will, you can think, why not? Valentina caught herself thinking that she was still angry with Rosalind and Max. The woman realized that it was very unkind and, in a way, even sacrilegious. Max is already in the ground and his mother is suffering in a way that will not be able to find peace for a long time to come. To be angry in such a situation is simply unacceptable. Perhaps if Rosalind hadn't brought it up, Valentina wouldn't have brought up what Max had done. But now that she had brought it up, it might be worth explaining it to her. I promised Julia not to tell anyone about it, Valentina warned her, who had decided that she would not tell her niece about Max's death. It would make her very nervous, which in her present position was unacceptable. The woman took Rosalind's word that she would keep her mouth shut as well. Later, when the baby was born, they would tell her everything together, but not now. So I can't go to the hospital to see her? The woman asked. This question surprised Valentina, who thought they had agreed on everything. Of course not, she answered. Later. She mustn't be nervous now. What if she finds out what I told you about the baby and Max's death? I think you realize that even though Rosalind had given Valentina her word to keep quiet about the baby, she couldn't help herself watching the suffering of Lisa, who had lost all taste for life after Max's death. The woman's heart was torn to pieces. When her son decided to marry Lisa, she thought that he made such a choice solely because she was rich, and in the sincere, deep feelings of the girl, she also did not believe too much. Rosalind was convinced that they were just convenient for each other. Visiting penniless husband who has nothing behind his soul will never shake rights and will be entirely and completely subordinate to his wife. He has nowhere to go to give up a luxurious life and return to his darkness with cockroaches he will not want under any circumstances, and for spoiled, windy, and willful Lisa, such a husband, the ideal option. With Max, everything was also more than clear. He tasted a different life and sought to gain a foothold in this completely different world, the access to which he could get only by marrying Lisa. It was only after the death of her son that Rosalind realized how much the girl had loved him. As soon as Lisa heard that Julia was carrying Max's child, she immediately informed her mother-in-law that she was leaving for the city. "You don't need to come here," Rosalind said. "I haven't told you everything yet." Lisa did not understand why it was made a secret and did not share Valentina's point of view. Doesn't she realize that this baby is all that left of Max? She was indignant. "We have to give him a decent future, whether Julia wants it or not. I'll still be involved in the baby's upbringing, and he will live the life he deserves by birthright. I will provide for him in every way I can." It was impossible to change Lisa's mind. If she had something in her head, she would definitely do as she decided. This Rosalind knew for sure. During the time of living with her daughter-in-law under the same roof, the woman had time to study her character. The only thing she had been able to persuade her to do when she arrived was not to visit Julia in the hospital until after the birth, and that was only because Lisa was worried about the welfare of the future baby, and Rosalind was able to push that point intelligently. "All right," Lisa agreed, "but I still have to talk to Valentina. I want to give them money for a new house, let them buy a decent place for the baby. I don't want Max's son to live in this shack." Rosalind realized this could end in a scandal. She'd promised not to tell anyone, and it turned out that she had told Lisa, who had been very active. Of course, Valentina was shocked when she saw Max's wife on the doorstep, but she did not get indignant and make a scene. The woman was too tired of everything that was happening in their lives with Julia. She didn't need another pointless scandal. "What do you want?" she asked, not even inviting the intruder into the house. "I think you yourself realize that your visit is inappropriate. Get out of here." "Wait, leave," Lisa pulled her back. "Let's neither you nor I cut you any slack. I really need to talk to you. Listen to me, please." Valentina had absolutely no desire to listen to Lisa. That girl had ruined her niece's life. Julia's life might have turned out very differently if Lisa hadn't gotten in her way, but that's just one way of looking at it. On the other hand, this girl deserved sympathy too. It was obvious from Lisa that she wasn't wearing mourning for the sake of pathos. The girl had large bruises under her eyes, which clearly indicated that she had very little sleep. That was the way it really was after Max's death. Sleepless nights had become an everyday occurrence for Lisa. As soon as she closed her eyes, her beloved husband came to her at once. Lisa cried and begged him to come back. She asked why he had left so early and quickly, but did not get an answer. It seemed that the girl's suffering will have no end or edge. She loved him so much that she could not imagine her life without him, but Max could not come back and Lisa sincerely wanted to do something for his son. Unfortunately, God did not give her a child from the man she loved, and she will never be able to become the mother of their common with Max's baby. "Okay, come on in," Valentina said. "I'm ready to listen to you without further ado." Lisa put the suitcase on the table. Valentina looked at her with astonished eyes and did not understand what was happening. "What the hell is this?" she asked. "It's money," replied Lisa. "I looked up how much houses cost in your town. I asked my realtor to look at prices and see what good homes are available. I think that should be enough. My realtor will be in town in a few days, but I unfortunately will already have to leave. Things can't wait, and there's been a lot of them piling up lately. I know Julia's expecting Max's baby. I'd really like her and the baby to live in decent conditions. If this money is not enough or you choose something more expensive, then of course I will add. Just do not refuse, please, and do not take my act in the face. I really want to help, don't misunderstand me." Some time ago, Valentina would have sent this insolent rich idiot who shakes her finances left and right and believes that any issue can be solved with money, but at that moment she couldn't do it. It seemed to the woman that Lisa spoke so sincerely that she simply did not have the tongue to insult her. "So you will take the money?" asked the girl after a few minutes. Valentina was thinking so hard that she didn't even notice that she hadn't answered a word to Lisa. "I'm sorry," she mumbled confusedly. "I was thinking about something, I can see that," Lisa smiled, "but so what? I also wanted to say that I will help you with the upbringing of the baby. You do realize that I have a very big opportunity. I loved Max and I would really like his son to live in decent conditions. You'll let me help you, won't you?" That wasn't really what Lisa wanted. No, of course, she would not have left Julia the baby in any case and would have provided them with a decent existence, but deep down the girl really wanted to raise her son Max herself. She was sure that such love as she had for him was only once in a lifetime and she would never be able to love someone so much again. And she had nothing left of Max, only memories. But if there was a son, it's a completely different matter. Lisa would give him not only all her money but also her love, warmth, tender. She is sure that she could become a good mother for the boy. But the girl could talk about it only with Julia and only after the birth, before which there was still a decent amount of time. After the meeting with Valentina, Lisa, as she had planned, left for the capital to settle some business. She asked Rosalind to let her know the approximate date of the birth so she could come. "I have to talk to her," Lisa said firmly when her mother-in-law tried to dissuade her from seeing Julia. "Otherwise, I won't be me. Especially since you told me yourself that Julia didn't want this baby. She was even thinking about getting rid of it. Or did you lie to me? And Valentina didn't tell you any such thing." Of course, Rosalind wasn't lying. Valentina had taken her heart out by sharing with her friend what she had kept to herself for so long. She needed someone to talk to about it, and Rosalind was the only person she could tell. For a moment, it seemed to her that they had gone back in time and, as in the good old days, sitting over a cup of tea, having a heart-to-heart talk. The woman wasn't even angry at Rosalind for blabbing everything to Lisa. After all, Julia had money, a new house certainly wouldn't hurt, and it would be nice to renovate the old one too. They were going to put in a nursery, and the house hasn't been renovated in years. The last time they did anything to it was when Julia was a baby. It's time to get on with it, especially since the baby would be born soon, and that would require a place to move, and Lisa's gift came in handy. But how to tell Julia about it, she thought. How to explain to her where suddenly I got the money for a new house and repairs. The woman decided to lie that the money appeared in her hands by accident. Someone put it in a stroller which she left near the house because that day she had a lot of purchases and some of them she could not carry. She put them in the stroller she had bought for the future baby, and when she came to the house, she began to unload the purchases gradually. At first, she brought some of them in, and when she came back, the money was allegedly already in the stroller. And who put it there, the woman did not see. It was a silly story, but Valentina couldn't think of anything else. She couldn't tell the truth. There was nothing left until the birth, and the woman would never forgive herself if anything happened to her niece or her baby. Julia laughed as she listened to her aunt. The story Valentina had told her seemed so ridiculous that she couldn't contain her emotions. "Do you believe it yourself?" she asked. "Do you think I'm lying?" "Lying to you," the woman was indignant. "It's the truth. I told you everything as it happened, and you don't believe me. You insult me, Julia, you do." "But I can see in your eyes that you're hiding something from me," said Julia. "But that's okay. I'll find out sooner or later. As soon as I get out of here, I'll find out where you got the money from. Wait, I won't be in here much longer." On the day of discharge from the hospital, Lisa arranged for Julia the most real holiday. The girl left for the city immediately after Rosalind informed her that the labor had begun. Valentina was looking forward to the moment, and as soon as she received a call from the hospital, the woman immediately shared the happy news with her friend. On the day when Julia was to return home with her newborn son, there was a column of expensive jeeps near the maternity hospital, each of which had stickers with newborn babies, blue ribbons, and congratulatory inscriptions. Seeing all this, Julia was confused. "Look," she shoved her aunt who had come to greet her with flowers, "it's no other way than that someone gave birth to a millionaire's son today." A whole delegation came. "Julia, it's all for you," Valentina said, confused. "I had to tell you something, I didn't know how." In general, the woman herself had not expected that Lisa would organize such a meeting with Julia from the maternity hospital for her. It was a complete surprise, but Valentina immediately guessed that it was her. Who else could it be? In the local maternity hospital, there are no such rich women in labor whose husbands can afford such a luxury, and one of the cars, the very first in the row, belonged to Lisa. Valentina recognized it immediately. "What is she doing here?" Julia whispered when she saw a girl with a bouquet of flowers coming toward them. "Auntie, I don't understand what's going on. What kind of circus is she doing here? What the hell is she doing here?" Julia was furious. The girl was even ready to make a scandal, but still found the strength to pull herself together. "All right," she muttered to herself under her nose when Lisa came up and said that they needed to talk in private. "Come on, let's go talk." Julia didn't realize what was going on. Only when she and Lisa had gone to the nearest park and she had told her about Max's death did everything fall into place in her head. "It just can't be," she whispered, wiping away the tears in her eyes. "But how could it be? He was so young, so handsome. He would have lived and lived. I don't understand how this could have happened and why to him. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry for your loss." Julia felt a pinching sensation in her chest, as if something was suffocating her. It had never been so hard for a girl before. The moment Lisa had told her about Max's death, Julia had lost something very important, that part of her life with which so many pleasant and warm memories were connected. She had loved him very much, and now she was convinced that Lisa was sincere in her feelings too. If she hadn't cared for Max so much, would she have come here and offered her help? Lisa's request seemed strange to Julia, but she didn't consider it impertinent. The girl felt for her and her grief. Julia could see that Lisa's grief was very sincere. Max's death was a real blow for her, from which she could hardly ever recover. The girl took time to think about it. She could not make such a decision so easily. After all, this was her son and, as it turned out, the only thing left of Max. Of course, she would have allowed Lisa to take part in the boy's upbringing and would have accepted from her the help the girl offered. But to give the baby to her to raise, that was something to think about. And how could she give him away now? The child had just been born, it needed its mother's milk. The birth mother should be there, at least for the first year of life. Julia felt she was ready for a fresh start. 6 months later, she didn't consider a small child a burden, but she wasn't ready to raise it either. Even with the money Lisa generously gave her, Julia didn't feel free. She did not want to sit on the neck of the widow of her former lover for the rest of her life. The girl really wanted to realize and achieve something herself, and the child was an obstacle in this. Lisa was happy when Julia informed her that she was ready to give the child to her for upbringing. They did not start to document anything. It was absolutely unnecessary by that time. Lisa shifted some of the affairs onto the shoulders of Alice, who had always dreamed of taking part in the family business, but her husband never perceived her as a full partner. For many years of their life together, the man perceived Alice solely as his wife. Now she was finally able to realize, which was unspeakably happy. Lisa had the opportunity to devote all her time to the baby. She was engaged only in those cases that did not require her to spend a lot of time. Her little son became the meaning of life for her. Had it not been for him, it was unknown whether she would have been able to cope with the unbearable heartache that tore her apart after Max's death. And when her son came along, everything in Lisa's life changed. She again happily got up in the morning and with pleasure plunged into everyday cares and troubles. Now she had something to live for, and for that, Lisa was insanely grateful to Julia. She hadn't expected her to be so compassionate and supportive after everything that had happened between them. It was especially valuable. In time, everything fell into place, and exactly every single one of the prophetic words of the gypsy came true. Julia found her place in life and met the man she fell in love with. Her son was long gone by then. She regularly visited both the child and Lisa, who by then had become so attached to each other that they were inseparable. And the women could sit in the kitchen for hours, drinking tea and talking. Max's death brought Lisa and Julia very close. After he was gone, they no longer had anything to share, but there was someone to remember. Thank you for joining us today on Deep Stories. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video.